Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hope you can hear me. Yeah, welcome to a rare midday stream. The reason I'm up is because I was planning to play Arena Kings, and then I realized that Arena Kings has also been canceled together with almost every chess.com tournament and is now only once a month, but I didn't know that. Oh, Magnus is playing. Damn, I missed him. Okay, well, he wouldn't have played me. I'm 3,000 right now. I always miss Magnus. Okay, I need to get my rating up. So, a little bit of housekeeping. At 6 p.m. today, I'll be doing a Chess Bra rating grind. So, I'll be on the Chess Bra channel on voice chat playing Blitz and trying to get my rating up. I'm going to try to get my rating up a little bit beforehand because it's pretty embarrassing. I've been in very bad form, but I feel really good today. So, hopefully we can get that rating up. I'm pretty cautiously optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic. Yeah, thanks. It's not canceled. It's now once a month, and they basically eliminated the prizes. Yeah, the goal is 3,200, so it's pretty ambitious. The goal is 3,200, which I was just recently. Wow, Sinamova head is destroying Magnus. I mean, what else is new? Okay, we're playing Tremitsios Peter. Yeah, A6. He actually plays this. I mean, this is a decent opening, actually. A6, C6. Played like this myself. Magnus doesn't care about other matches in the SEC. He knows he's going to win, so. Okay, let's play H3. I don't really know what I'm doing here. Yeah. Yeah, somehow this guy Tremitsios just like crushes me out of the opening every single game, so we need to step it up a little bit. Yeah, so I heard back in my day, in the 1956 interzonal tournament in Sousse, Tunisia, I was sharing a room with 43-year-old Sammy Reshevsky. And Sammy's wife Norma came up to me. And one evening before the first round, or was it before the second round? I don't remember now. Sammy Reshevsky's wife was actually Norma. That's true. See, I take care of the small details. Jungle John, that's a good question. Do I get tired of responsibility of having to respond to compliments? Not really. I mean, oh, Queen F6, girl. I randomly spotted this as he went. Oh man, this is a good start. This is an auspicious beginning. Okay, Mbojan. Okay, good sexy beginning. It means I see tactics today. Danya, WTF am I doing? Please explain. Explain yourself, good sir. I always blunder this. It's not, knight h6 is not the move. Okay, it's not really a blunder, but black is, this is the old line, but black is worse here. This is the old main line, but it's like +1. Are you as erudite in Russian as I am in English? No, I'm not as erudite in. Well, I appreciate the compliment first of all. I am above average, above the average Russian speaker for sure in terms of my vocabulary, but not as extensive as English. Magnus won that game. That's crazy. Who is my favorite philosopher? Other than Levias Rosmanis, I don't know. Soren Kierkegaard. read philosophers. I can't handle literature of that stature. I actually knew a philosopher once who wrote a lot about vegetarianism. I think he moonlighted as a singer. Immanuel Lasker Kant. I would say books and I would say online content. I try to seek out online content that has like rich vocabulary, and then I actually make an effort to learn words. Ну, я встал просто из арены королей. Я причем выспался, арена королей. Я думал, сейчас сыграем. И я не знал, что раз в месяц, пипец. Они урезали и это тоже. Пипец, просто какой-то бред. Neither of my parents are from Russia, so I've been twice. 2009 was the last time. Как не ночь? Сейчас час 17 ночи. А что, неправильно? Ты видел удар в прошлой партии? Красивый. My mom is from Baku. My father is from Kiev. Baku is the capital of Azerbaijan, correct? Okay, he's playing terribly this game. I need to exploit this. I think I can get away with taking the spawn. Сейчас покажу. Ну, сейчас доиграю. Ну, сейчас, вот я просто открою. Ферзь f6 шах. Он конь e7 сыграл, ферзь f6, конь h5 мат. Спасибо. Ну, ничего особенного, как бы вышел Виталий Бернацкого. Такой удар. Okay, rook 65. Rook e2. h5 maybe. f3 maybe. Okay, this is completely winning, but he goes king g4. Can I go rook f5? Okay, this is completely unnecessary and stupid, but I think I can get away with it. King f5, f2, rook c1, rook e1, bishop c4, rook takes c1. I don't know. Why would you put yourself in a position where something like this could fail? I don't know, but... Okay, and there we go. Rook e5. Okay, thank God. Could have also gone... No, the other rook wouldn't have worked. That's too many compliments. Okay, Jumpy, thank you for the gifted sub. And thanks, Hedgehog. Bye. Creo que también sabes... Sí. Conozco este idioma muy rico. Pero me siento muy nervioso cuando tengo que hablar. Pero gracias. Gracias por el apoyo. Gracias por el apoyo, señor. Non parle français. Un petit pois. Un petit pois. 4 ou 5. How do you say words? No hablo inglés. A pesar de que soy americano, yo no hablo inglés. Estoy aprendiendo poco a poco. Estoy enriqueciendo mi vocabulario. Me siento mucho orgullo de que no tengo acento en español. I'm just kidding. I don't actually have that bad of an American accent in Spanish.
Sí, claro, puedo hablar español con acento ruso, es muy fácil, ¿no? Porque conozco a muchos gran maestros que nacieron en países rusoparlantes y ahora están viviendo en países hispanoparlantes y uh, no pueden erradicar sus acentos muy fuertes, pero hablan muy bien, ¿no? Yeah, that's what I was asked to do. Russian accented Spanish. Like Shirov. Sprechen Deutsch? Deutsch? No, no. Nein, nein, sprechen Deutsch. Deutschland. Achtung. Die Weißen Haus Schlagfestival. Die Weißen Haus. Gut, sehr gut. Sicherheit. Lufthansa, Flughafen Frankfurt, Stuttgart. Die Polizei. Can I speak Arabic in a Chinese accent? Yes. I can totally speak Arabic in a Chinese accent. How about I just start with Arabic and then I add the Chinese accent later? Yeah. I can give you the pieces, chess pieces. Malik, Firzan. Firzan. Baydak. Alfil. No, I don't remember. Okay, let's see. We're playing Platon Gulperin. Hisan. His knight. I don't know. I just speak every language, I guess. Let's play what Parabian played against me. Yeah, the interesting thing is alfil is also the Spanish word for bishop. So a lot of words in Spanish come from Arabic. Any word that starts with an al, like the word for pillow, for example. In Russian, the word for queen is also similar to the Arabic word for queen because it's a male figure, which is super interesting. Yeah, in Russian it's also elephant, but okay, what is the move here? It's knight c6. This is what Parabian played against me. Why did I stream in Russian? Dude, you are a troll, professional mailbox. You're a professional troll. I recognize you. You got timed out multiple times in my last Russian stream because you just spam the question, why do I stream in a language that I speak? Do you realize that that sounds pretty dumb? Okay, well, falafel's obvious. No, I actually took on e4. This is what I did. I think he castled here. Or no. He played rook d... Shit, what did he do? I think he castled. I played queen a5, and then he did something annoying. I think he played bishop d4. It's not a legit question because he's been... Well, what exactly is a legit question? How can I answer the question? Why do I decide to stream in a language that I speak? What kind of thing constitutes an answer to that question? Like, think about, like, that's what I asked Kramnik that one time. Like, what constitutes a refutation to the idea that I'm cheating? What do I have to show you in order for you to change your mind? And he couldn't answer that question. What? Okay, dude. Don't try me, my man. It's less toxic. Well, no, I mean, not that people here are toxic, but no, nobody is ever toxic. Yeah, that's right. It's a contest. It's a timeout contest. on Jocelyn, but I'm not confident enough. Oh shit! I just lost. Okay, I need to focus. I thought I had rook d8 here. I thought I had rook d8. Now I get mated, obviously. Actually, do I get mated? Yeah, I do get mated. Just any move is mate. Okay, that was. I do need to focus. All of my positive momentum has just been canceled out. Yeah, the move is bishop d4, which I actually knew. Bishop c5 is just losing. Okay, so I'm already just losing here. There's nothing I can do. Soupy is playing some 10-minute game. Ну, он подозрительный чел, этот Галперин. Он из тех, кто тебя с ним поруют, и у тебя уже в горле встает. Бесит. Ну и что-то я не удивлен. Он из категории, из тех людей. С ними потом тяжело играть, когда ты знаешь, что они читерили раньше. Do I think Anish specifically will do well in the World Cup? I have no idea. Why specifically Anish? He's been obviously playing well, and he's very confident in his abilities and in his general riz, shall we say. If Anish gets top 3, does Ali... No, I don't think Alireza gets the candidates if Anish gets the top 3. It just goes to the 4th spot. I wish, but... No, that wouldn't make sense. I don't know. Maybe you're right, but... That would be nice. Wait, I'm sorry. I missed your question, Hussam. I mean, Anish... Yeah, no. We'll see. Yeah. I missed commentary. I didn't see your pun. Sorry. Please repeat it. Also, I wanted to show people something cool. Dubov had a crazy combination that I just stumbled on. You guys should look at this. Look at this combination by Dubov. So this position, it's white to play. We got a $10 donation from Tamino SC2. I started playing chess a few months ago, and your speedrun videos helped me a lot. I like the way you explain things so clearly. Thank you so much for the $10 dono. I really appreciate it. So white to play. Actually, wait, no, it's not that cool, actually. No, I didn't realize this is not actually. Bishop c4. So I misinterpreted the position. I thought the idea was to do this. But actually, it's not that. I actually had a combination like this pretty recently. But actually, it's just to play rook dh1. Yeah, it's not that cool. I had a game against Dr. Tiger where I did something very similar. Let me see, Dr. Tiger. Let me see if I can find this game. God, we play so often that... No, it was earlier than September 25th. Yeah, I'll find it momentarily. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so here I played the move, in this position I played the move f3. And black is winning here with like rook f6, for example, but he played d takes e4, rook h8 check, and then rook h3 check, opening the pathway for the queen. and then rook h8 check, deflecting the king back to the h file, and it's mate. But after wait, what did I just hear? Dubov is playing Riley. Yeah, okay, he's screwing around as usual. Lol. Okay, let's play Maxim Dubnevich. I think that's his name. Nastanivka. Could play Additand. Could play Additand. Could play Josman. Could play Additand. Wait, I forgot what the move is here. I think it's c5 and b5. It takes a6. Let's see how Magnus is doing. Magnus is 3-1 against Sinamov ahead. Okay, but Additand is not seeking right now. Oh wait, Additand at +3, lol. Wait, where is he rated? He's 3071. That's not too bad. Yeah, I saw Juspem versus Magnus. Okay, I'll forget everything here. I think it's takes and knight bd7. Yeah, I know Hikaru's streaming. I'm not playing the SCC. I was not invited to the SCC. No, I'm not playing the speed chess. As everybody on Reddit will be quick to let you know, Danya's only strong with no increment. It's not like the World Blitz was increment, or like the FIDE Blitz rankings reflect only increment chess. I'm only average with increment. It never gets old. I don't know why people cling to this idea like it's some sort of gospel. Yes, I am. There's a lot of stuff going on. Reddit doesn't suck necessarily. I mean, it depends on... No, there's no well, there is qualification through Title Tuesday, but I didn't qualify through Title Tuesday. And all of the invitational spots somehow always go to the super GMs who don't play on chess.com ever, who are not active on the site, but just always get an invite no matter what. They just, like, even if they have not done well in the SEC historically. Like, I don't really understand how to... Like, it doesn't even depend on your Blitz ratings. Like, I'm higher rated in world... And Borknik, of course, is even much higher rated. Was number 6 in the world. He didn't get an invite. Like, shouldn't the invites be based on Blitz rating? FIDE Blitz rating, not FIDE Classical rating? I don't know. Yeah, but 5+1 is still Blitz. No, 5+1 is still Blitz, but yeah, you're generally right. I'm not excommunicated from anything. I don't know why you're jumping to conclusions. Did I ever say that? I don't play much classical anymore. I played a tournament recently, US Open. Did not enjoy it at all. It was torturous, but I did well. But I did not enjoy it in the slightest. It was very stressful. Okay, I'm just crushing him here, I think. Oh, I blundered my rook. Damn, I suck at chess. Okay, now he can resign. Why didn't I enjoy it? It's a lot of factors. I think I've talked about it before, but classical chess obviously has changed a lot. And it's become much more reliant on just like... I mean, everybody has just gotten so much better that the margins of victory, even with like fairly lower rated players are extremely narrow. Well, we're used to it. Sasha and I are used to it. Like I feel like it's not, you know, I don't usually get these invites for some reason. I don't know. I think I mean I wouldn't have a chance against like Magnus, right? So I can't really complain. But against the other players in the SCC, I think I would have a serious chance in this format. Especially because I would prepare, and you know, if I approach it very seriously, I think I can surprise some people. It has gotten harder at all levels, yeah. I mean, even at people watching at your level, like I'm sure you have noticed that people like defend better, and people are harder to beat, including probably yourself. But you don't really notice it in yourself. You notice it in other people. Да, спасибо вам, что смотрели. It's not just because everyone's studying the engine. I mean, that's part of it, but just access to material, access to information is like the common explanation. And just like the ease with which somebody can view a video, and it's just so much easier now to, like, you wake up in the morning and you put on some YouTube video that you know 20 years ago someone would have killed to like see Levy analyzing a game, and now it's just like background content. So it's crazy like how saturated things are now. I don't know, I'm not finding the right words to explain this, but I think people get what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm gonna challenge this guy So Kidsy, and if he accepts, we'll see what, I don't know what I'm gonna do. ELO is ELO. Yeah, but relatively speaking, you have to understand that, relatively speaking, the average 2000 now and the average 2000 like 20 years ago are going to play differently. At every level, like the overall level has shifted upward. So ratings might have remained the same, but okay, I challenged Magnus is left, unfortunately. Oh, that would be awesome. That would be a great honor. Aliras and I are yeah. I'm a big fan, so would be a great honor. I'm one of the problems. I know. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's the first time that is actually a compliment. I'm playing currently at the US Championship game, but I still thought that was very funny. Okay, let's see. A4. It was funny that Chris Bird was holding the umbrella in order to protect Hunt Neiman's virgin eyes because he is a vampire. So he doesn't like the sunlight. Yes, I saw. That's literally what I'm. Wait, what is he? Did he offer me a draw? No. Someone just declined my challenge. Semenenkov. Semenenkov declined my challenge. Try to get Dubov. Yeah, trust me. I try to get Dubov every... Yesterday, no, Dubov was aborting all of his games against me because he, quote, was not in the mood to get flagged again. So I offered to play 3+1, and I don't know. I totally get it. I mean, he's within his rights to not play me. But if he's doing a general seek, and I'm like offering to play 3+1 and telling him I'm not going to flag him, like, I don't know. I don't know what else I can do at that point, you know? It's like, okay. Oh, I could have taken the... Well, I can take the pawn now. Okay, let's play with my... Let's play with this mouse. Whoa. Somehow I win this game. I don't know how that happened, but man, I've only gained 20 points. It feels like I've won like 100 games and I only have gained 20 points today. Okay, d4 is a mistake actually. I can't tell you why though. I remember that it's a mistake. I think it's because of... Shit, why is it a mistake? I think it's this. And now I think it's this. And he can't play a3 because of knight takes c5. That's right. Let me just check wallfish. Yep, correct. Wallfish confirms it. It's my pet. It's my pet stockfish. I forgot to feed him. He's been only giving the second engine line. He's been really grumpy. Wow, what's up, Vic? Oh, that's too... You come in here and make me blush right off the bat. Damn. Sorry, I was just feeding my pet stockfish. Dude, plenty of people have more mouse skills than me, including Andrew Tang. I mean, my mouse skills are absolutely unremarkable. It's just... Don't believe the propaganda. Don't believe the propaganda about my mouse skills. Although, if you believe it, I'd appreciate it. I just don't deserve these lofty words. Damn. I mean, I'm one of the OGs in terms of mouse skills, but unfortunately now everybody's fast. Like Andy Woodward, I mean. Who's Dubov playing? Yeah, Dubov is playing this guy, Riley. I don't know why it's interesting for him to play these guys. I just don't get it. Like, he never seems to seek out, you know, the top players. It's just... I guess he likes adopting people. Which I can understand. Or he just wants to say really Riley. I just enjoy playing Dubov. Probably one of my favorite opponents. It's honestly just so much fun. Yeah, rook d6. Okay, this guy is good. Sounds ableist. Yeah, I'm against people named Abel. I prefer to be Cainist. You get it? Cain and Abel. Funny guy. I can't believe that happened. I mean, my morale is always very high. I never suffer from low morale. The morale of the story is that my morale is always high. Yeah, my knight. What do you have a problem with my knight and the amount of squares that it controls? Yeah, my position leaves a lot to be desired, let's put it this way. Am I up a pawn here? Yes, I am up a pawn. I am up a pawn. but that provides little to no relief. I actually think the knight is holding the d7 pawn very nicely. I don't know why the knight was getting picked on. And knight f6 and I'm screwed. Of course he finds it. Oh, he's playing an incredible game. I remember Hikaru used to farm this guy. And it seemed pretty easy. He's gotten better. Knight h5. Wait a second. What? What does this move accomplish? Yeah, he goes back to f6, but now maybe I can go rook c7, protect the pawn, and just hold up and try to flag him. Which is really the only way that I win games anyway. Okay, let's just go back and forth. Oh crap. No, I'm not surviving this, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm just screwed. Shit. Yeah, he just takes. The problem is, I can play queen h6 also. Crud, he's playing so freaking well. Oh! Oh my god, I'm gonna win. Unbelievable. Oh, he blew it. He blew it. He blew it. No more. No. That's enough. That's enough for this guy. Man, it's so hard to win a game nowadays, you know? Man, it is impossible to win a game nowadays. 1 second, I'm going to adjust the lighting a little bit. It's a little bit too dark. My peak elo in Blitz was 3270, I think. Which is, I know, hard to believe. Oh, Magnus is back online. Let's see. Magnus is back online. Okay, I'm gonna run a seek here. I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't always play to the best of my ability. Like, don't you experience the same thing? Huh, I don't know if that's a toxic trait. I appreciate that. Okay, we'll play some music when I start the next game. I feel like I always say I'm going to play music and then I never end up actually playing music, but it's because I'm always so indecisive. No, not Russian. I don't want to play anything with guitar music, some sort. Some sort of freaking nothing too I don't know what I'm trying to say, too invasive to the ears and to the brain. Yes, I wouldn't want to play SCC for money. I don't think most people play SCC for money. Like, obviously there are probably would. Like, the fact that there is a prize is important, but I think most people who play are playing because it's fun and it's a tradition. Здрасте, да. Good game, спасибо за партии. Сколько максимум, ну, пока что тяжело сказать, сколько я набираю максимум, потому что всего лишь прошло, я только 3 раза сыграл, но максимум счет у меня был 9 из 11. Я набрал 9 из 11 и закончил, по-моему, я 5-е место занял, если память не изменяет. Но, если честно, несмотря на мою репутацию, как флагоруба, мне намного тяжелее играть 5+0. У меня такое ощущение, что это практически классика. Так что я не сторонник новых изменений. Sorry, my opponent came in just to ask a question, so. А, 2500 фидет вы набрали. Поздравляю. Do I see FIDE becoming less relevant? No, I don't. I don't understand the whole talk about FIDE being irrelevant. Like, FIDE has the rating system, which is the single most important, like, property in all of chess. And that's not going to change in the foreseeable future. Well, not just Gary, but I mean, plenty of people have tried. Больше нравится читать, ну, на английском я просто намного больше привык. У меня как бы нет проблем по-русски читать, но я быстрее намного читаю по-английски. Так что я предпочитаю читать в переводе, если есть перевод. Ну, кроме шахматных книг, естественно, там без разницы. Там без разницы. Okay, we're gonna try to get Dubov. Dubov is online, so he's going to be seeking a game soon, and I'm gonna try to poach him. If Dubov seeks a game, I'm gonna try to poach him. FIDE's globalist. Yeah, I mean, yes, but so are all organizations of this kind. So you're not really going to change the nature of the organization. It's more like, okay, does FIDE fulfill its kind of minimum responsibilities? And right now, the answer is definitely yes. One of its responsibilities seeming to be stealing rating for no reason and participating in Twitter fights by the CEO, but that could be we could do without. I don't think Dvorkovich is a bad president. I think, remember also that Sutovsky is the general director, which in Russian, the gen director is a CEO. That's how you say CEO. So he's sort of the CEO, but he's not the president. The president is Dvorkovich. Now, also it's important to mention Sutovsky is a GM. He doesn't have experience like running a company or running any kind of organization. He's a strong grandmaster with a, obviously a impressive chess career. But as much as chess players want to romanticize that, it doesn't give you the experience to run like an organization, which I think is a pretty big downside. And I think Emil gets very defensive anytime like there's any question of like qualification or competence on the side of FIDE in their implementation of rules or, the formation of rules. Like, do you really think that we would do this without, an extensive panel of experts who've done every kind of like analysis for weeks? Like, yes, that's exactly what I think. Yes, I know Dvorkovich is Dvorkovich, просто для американцев проще произносить так, более понятно. I do know how to pronounce Dvorkovich correctly, quote unquote correctly. That unfortunately is quite true. Being good at chess bars you from being good at anything. I want to argue with that, but unfortunately I don't know if I can. Given that I learned how to tie my shoes 5 minutes ago, I'm afraid I can't argue with that. I don't know if Gary's good at politics. I don't know if I agree with that. Is he? Oh, Dubov's back online. Wait, I'm gonna try to get Dubov. If I'm just gonna resign this game, if Dubov seeks. Почему меня на вторниках не видно? В смысле? Почему я не стримлю? Я играю каждый вторник. В чем проблема? Я в последнее время каждый вторник играю. Thank you for the Prime. I mean, I have an honorary degree in agricultural sciences from the chess.com University. You're absolutely correct. Can I add board sounds? Yeah, I thought they were on. Yeah, or also the concept that if you're good at chess, you're going to be a good coach. Like, you have to differentiate between different skills. Thank you, Leor22. Now, FIDE does a lot of stuff well that are never talked about. Like, I think most chess players like to focus on the bad, and that's just because chess players are like this, but that doesn't excuse, you still have to demand like a very high degree of competence from them. And they haven't always shown it. Leviatry played a lot of Blitz. Yeah, most GMs don't have the patience to coach, so. Never played Emil OTB. We played in the same... I played only in one tournament where he also played Gibraltar 2015. Or 2014, don't remember. But I didn't get to play in that tournament. Нет, матовой атакой здесь не пахнет. Здесь матовой атакой не пахнет. Yeah, Michael Jordan does seem like he would be a very bad coach. And a bad owner. He owned my new team. Frickin' Charlotte Bobcats. AKA the Hornets. Formerly the Bobcats. He used to. I do like LaMelo Ball. Yes, I am a LaMelo Ball fan, but one person, he's very raw, and one person can't carry the team like that. He's not LeBron, as much as his dad believes he is. I didn't qualify for the US Championship is the reason I'm not playing. I don't qualify by rating. I mean, I used to, back before everybody changed their federation to the US. Thank you. I used to. There was a time when I qualified by rating. Yes, Woodward qualified because he... How did Woodward qualify? He's either the wild card or he won the US Junior Championship. I don't remember. I think he won the US Junior. I qualified. That's how I qualified in 2014. I won the US Junior. So Andy playing now, when I played in 2014, I was Andy's rating. And I wouldn't qualify by rating, but I qualified because I won the 2013 U.S. Junior Championship, which is all and always has been a qualifier for the U.S. Championship. I mean, I'm definitely good enough to play with the big guys. I've done well in the U.S. Championship many times. I've played 5 times, I think, and I've finished as high as 4th. So, like, I've handled myself pretty well against the top American players. It's just I just didn't qualify this year. I won some games in 2021 the last time I played. Forget who I beat, but some idiots. Some dumbasses. Nobody notable. Especially not with black. I mean, with black it's my openings just suck too much to win any games. Shit. Okay, he's gonna flag. Nice. Yes. Nice little working man's game. Okay, I'm challenging Magnus also. He is online. How did I drop from 3150? Would you like a review of the rating system? Like, I lost more games than I won, I guess, against players with whom I would lose rating. I guess you've never dropped rating before, so sorry, can't relate, I suppose. You qualify by USCF rating. It's the only like reason the USCF rating is in any way like relevant. You know, I'm not a professional streamer. I don't adhere to a particular frequency of streaming. I don't count like how frequently I'm streaming. Sometimes I stream more frequently, sometimes I stream less. I'm not a professional streamer. Hans is playing chess. Actually, Hans gave some really nice interviews, like surprisingly well spoken and very courteous. He's definitely capable of it. It's definitely not, no. If it was, then I would be a professional streamer. Okay, I blundered 95. Nice job. Fortunately, I can go back, but I can definitely see Hans being world champion. What is my main source of income? That is private information. That is not for streaming ears and eyes. Hans is definitely not. I believe in the best in him is yet to come. I'm a believer. Believer. What sounds sus? The fact that I'm not willing to share my financial details with 1,000 strangers. Now you're gonna say you're joking. I was just kidding. Oh my, stop being so sensitive to everything. Oh my god. There we go. That's because he knows I don't take bullshit. He knows who the papa in the room is. Where do I park my private jet? Charlotte International Airport. Where do you think? Charlotte has a special hangar dedicated only to my private airplanes. Subbing on Twitch, whatever you prefer. Any form of support is greatly appreciated. No, not Frankfurt, although I tend to fly there pretty often. I flew from Frankfurt pretty recently, actually. Okay, can I answer a question with a question? My question is why I don't. It's more of a question to myself: is why don't I time you out? Why am I so tolerant? I don't. And the answer is I don't know. I'm just born that way, I guess. Frankfurt is not. Yeah, it's not great. Yeah, I wanted to go out of the airport to get some food the last time I was there because I had a lot of time in the airport and I didn't like what I saw. It just didn't seem safe and I wasn't sure what was going on. Not you. Don't worry. You're good. And I wasn't talking about banning. I'm going to ban myself for the way I'm playing this game. Dallas Gret, thank you for the 5 subs. Really appreciate it. Still deciding whether I'm going to play the World Rapid and Blitz. Can't tell you yet. But I really do. It's just the travel is the biggest you know, con, I guess. I don't know why I can't talk today. And not just today. I have a very likable thank you. I really appreciate it. I mean, just wait until you meet the real me. And then you'll change your mind, but... Yeah, this is over. I do need to focus if I want to keep my rating climb up. Okay, do we want to do a Rosen trap of some sort? Yeah, let's do a Rosen trap. Yes! Boom! It worked like a charm. Oh my god, Eric is just the world's best man. How does that still work? It works against new opponents. Like, I actually kind of know. Anytime I haven't done it against somebody, I sort of vaguely remember, okay, we can try it against this guy. Because I speak Russian and feel like streaming. I mean, it's tilting, but I guess you just have yourself to blame because this has been around for so long. Like, if you don't know that someone's setting this up, first of all, a lot of people have stopped like taking the only piece in this type of position. Yeah, you have to like the art consists in waiting the right amount of time before playing the move. You have to wait just long enough for them to pre-move, but not too long where they would suspect something and take the pre-move away. Like there's a range of time where you give them time to thoughtlessly pre-move, but then not enough time where they'll remember, like, wait a second, is something going on? Okay, how's the US Championship going? Okay, Speed Chess Championship, I assume, Lazovic is crushing. Yeah, he is, of course. Okay, not crushing, but he's going to win, obviously. Ну, потому что я встаю в 6 вечера, и тогда играю всю ночь. И секрета нет. Так, wait, where's the US champion? Am I stupid? Oh, there. I think it is win by 2, actually. Wait, what? That's the Speed Chess Championship? Oh, it's confusing because... Okay, Hikaru's not even playing the US Championship. Of course, now this whole thing is scuffed as hell. Okay, that's my chat. I don't want the chat. I want this one. О, ну, спасибо. Я не знаю, насколько... Окей, wait a second. Я регулярно пропускал, кстати, уроки, чтобы играть там с Накамурой, например. Okay, just a quick look and then we'll keep playing Blitz. Just a quick glance. Okay, now I need the camera, which for some reason is disappearing. Copy. Window browser. Where is it? Paste reference. Okay, so PowerNet, thank you for the sub. Appreciate it. Woodward is weak GM. Yeah, very weak GM. Yeah, 10 out of 10 rage betas, right? Okay, I don't think he'd beat you with a single king, though, but yeah. He wouldn't beat you 50 now. Whoa, look at this position. Caruana versus Sevian. What the hell? How do you evaluate this position? Like, try to evaluate... Okay, obviously, I don't have the engine on, so... Yeah, this was a Rui Lopez open variation, which... Queen d7, wow. So if f takes e4, it's a draw. Obviously, Fabi does not want an early draw. What the hell? Да, был не так давно, в 2016 году. Мой отец из Киева. Очень понравилось. Я был там 1,5-2 недели. Okay, let's see. Ha. Hey, you reap what you sow. What is this position? Wait, let me copy this into ChessBase and see. I like Maurice's.
Like this is how the engine is playing. We are befuddled by it.
That's Maurice's voice.
Plays logical chess this way. We're in a new age where you only understand moves only after the engine has suggested them, and then you test ideas. You just don't look at these moves. They don't make any sense at all.
Or you look without the engine to begin with, actually.
The problem is you can get into a position very easily where you don't know what to do because you follow the engine moves up to this point, and then suddenly you forget your analysis, whatever it is.
Interesting.
Going, okay, my position doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
What am I supposed to do here? Because your position doesn't make logical sense, and you just may not find the right move.
It's interesting. Queen
Bobby's in
d7.
one of those positions right now.
So this position occurred 5 times, including the game Tari Anand, Norway Chess 2022. And 4 of the 5 people played knight c5 here. And after f4, I assume white is better. One person did play queen d7, 2300, 2371, and 2023 tournament. And white took on e4, so this was a quick draw. So technically, Fabi played queen e2 and spent 13 minutes on it. So obviously, queen d7 caught him by surprise. And he decided to play the brave move. Queen e2, knight c5. So basically, we get the same position with the inclusion of these 2 moves. Oh, actually, no, it's interesting. So in the game Vaishali versus Muzichuk, they started with knight c5. White played f4, and then black played queen d7, queen e2. So actually, this position still happened in the game Vaishali Muzichuk, FIDE World Cup 2023. And Muzichuk was annotating the game. So, oh wow, and she says that d4 exclam. So she actually gives this line in her annotations. Muzychuk won the game, and she played the move queen e6, which she calls an inaccuracy. Instead, she says that the best move was d4. Yep, she gives this line. Queen f3, castles. Wow, queen f3, castles. Now she gives rook d1, d3, exclam. Bishop takes d3, knight takes d3, rook d3, queen e6. With sufficient compensation for the sacrificed material. Instead of this, Fabi played b4, which is a fairly standard move in these types of positions. The annotations are available if you have ChessBase, but ChessBase is also not free, so... Yeah, it's just a ridiculous position. Probably equal would be my guess. Yeah, of course. Oh, king h8 is the best move for some reason. Okay, this is making my head hurt. Will do. Thank you for the sub. Okay, Hans Niemann is worse against Sam Shankland. What is this weird line? Oh, he's not down a pawn, actually. I don't know. I'll make the camera bigger when we go back to the Blitz. Please stop hassling me about things that are my decision. Just roll with it, folks. I don't like to be told what to do. Okay, this is equal. This is equal, and this is... Okay, boy, this is a boring tournament. Let's watch the Speed Chess Championship. Okay, Speed Chess Championship is over. Lazovic wins, of course. Not a surprise to anybody. Not a surprise to anybody, obviously. Yeah, I mean, there's Lazovic is just unplayable. Okay, we're playing this guy. Lunatic X. Yeah, he used to have me blocked, so it's good to see that he's unblocked me. Aragaisi is not much stronger in Blitz and Bullet. I mean, Aragaisi in Classical, of course, would be crushing it, but I feel like Lazovic is the heavy favorite in like a Blitz and Bullet format. No, I mean, I think for Arjun, it's just not I'm not trying to shit on him at all. I think it's just not a top priority. So it's not to take anything away from Lazovic either. It's just like, it is just more important for him. Like, it's just, he doesn't approach this necessarily like a super serious event. Yes, I feel like Hikaru is likely the second best classical player. What's the move here? I think it's knight bd7. It's theory. Wasn't Hikaru struggling against... Was he struggling against 1900s? Didn't he beat all of them? Except the 2300, and it's totally normal. I mean, anybody would give up a draw if they played this many, like, Mickey Mouse tournaments. I don't think he was struggling. I think most of his games were smooth. He lost to a 22... Wait, when did he lose to a 2200? In what tournament? Dude, Ahmed Kagan, you're talking about one game in a rapid tournament, and the guy is at 2500 IM. Stop trolling. Like, actually stop trolling. It's not interesting to engage. Okay, well, how about me switching to Russian? Does that get old? Yeah, Gotta insert the kappa. Hikaru drew partially to play the common event, but it was a draw on the board, I think. Was a draw on the board. So I would say it's a little bit of both. I don't ban people who type in English on my Russian streams. I usually will warn them and then time them out. I rarely like ban right off the bat. No, I mean that's would be too harsh. But I do have like in the title, there is plenty of warning. So I don't believe that Alireza sacked the World Cup for the SCC. I mean, maybe if he said that, but I wouldn't jump to that conclusion. No, he didn't qualify for the candidates. How did I learn Russian so good? First language? Oh, Magnus is back online. Shall we get punished? By Papa? I miss Papa. I mean, I challenged him, but he doesn't really accept challenges ever, so once in a blue moon he'll accept against like Sinem Overhead, play 2 games and then go feed his son, I guess. I mean his actual son, not Sinem Overhead or Naroditsky. I mean, I've actually adopted Magnus in Bullet, which is kind of... Well, if you count 11.5 out of 12 as adoption, then I have adopted Magnus. I guess I should talk about that more. I remember... Okay, one sec. Let's try to finish losing this game. Yeah, I'm losing on the clock here. Oh no, he made it. Ah, no. Okay, wait. Here? How did he not pre-move? I don't understand. How did he not pre-move that move? Again, this guy's so annoying. Oh, wait. Ah. Oh my gosh. I don't know how I managed to hold that. I mean, at some point I should have been winning if I just took on c5. Yeah, that's crazy. Back to being blocked. Exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. Come on, Magnus. You know you want to. But I don't think he will have a wrist after he's finished banging the table. Dude, why is Magnus so good? I ask myself that question every morning. I just wake up and that's what I ask. Like, why is Magnus so good? Это снимает груз с плеч? Нет, с Магнусом играть это одно удовольствие. Естественно, я понимаю, что я проиграю, но не в этом дело. Okay, let's go here and c3. Their headphones are great, yeah. I don't drink energy drinks, and I don't really drink juices either. Mostly coffee and water. I mean, straight up milk is okay. And tea. I drink a lot of tea. Yeah, of course. I forgot about tea. I have a very... Some people say I have a very small accent in Russian. Other people say I don't. It's honestly not very interesting. I mean, it's not very significant. The green soda can, it's Perrier. It's a pretty known sparkling water brand. Thank you, Yerevan88. Armenia represent. Yeah, I do have a good... Well, I don't even know if I have a good position here. I have a weak pawn on c3. I don't really know what to do here. I guess I'll play some random move. Okay, Prague is online. I'm going to challenge Prague. There's a lot of people online, but nobody... I mean, what else is new, right? Nobody ever plays. Oh, we get a raid from chess.com. Thank you. Thank you, Aman and Tanya. I think it was Aman and Tanya commentating. Well done. What's up, people? We're just playing some post-SEC Blitz here. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Aman and Tanya. Nice, nice. Star team. Okay. Yeah, who else thinks you're... Yeah, exactly. Who else thinks Scorpion King is annoying? Everybody. So you're outnumbered. Alright, what's up, people? I'm playing a Swede, yeah. I don't think I'm going to win this game, though. I'm down on time. I have very little chances on the board. He's going to go rook c3. Okay, now he's... why did I allow rook c2? Okay, he's like pretty peacefully approaching this position. Okay, Magnus keeps logging in and out. I mean, this is like... Magnus just keeps logging in and logging out. Like, he's dangling the cookie at the end of the stick. Speak hard and carry a big stick. Probably the phone app. Maybe. And it would be very nice to play Magnus right now and get destroyed. Whoops. Okay, Viagra is online also. That never gets old. Let's see. Cristobal. Yeah, his baby kid is already using chess base. I mean, never too early to start. He started him on like chess base 2 and Bose. Oof, look at Cena. Ooh. Rook takes c4 and queen h5. I don't think I would see that in a classical game, but okay, he sees that in 1 second. Ooh, Arctic Bear 64 is online for the first time in a long time. I do also need to pee, which is something people occasionally do need to do. But is it now the most opportune time to do it? Maybe I should just stop deciding when I will do it and just go do it. Okay, I'm going to go relieve myself. Okay, I'll be right back. Successful outing. Whoa, Stuckfish with the 5 subs. Thank you so much. Thank you, Stuckfish, for the 5 subs. Really appreciate it. Okay, let's challenge Magnus again. Let's challenge everybody again. Okay, and let's just wait for a game to appear on the screen. Okay, Mikola Bortnik is seeking a bullet game because he wants to sit on his rating, naturally. There's all these random GMs online and nobody's playing. No, I didn't see Maurizi's novelty, but I should take a look. If you give me the opponent name, I'll write it down. That sounds really interesting. Who was Maurizi playing? And which tournament, if possible? Maurizi Moroni. Maurizi was white? Oh, European, okay. Which color was Maurizi? I mean, I'll find it with that information. Fabi made a video. Check. Fabi. Video. Maurizi. Moroni. Thank you for mentioning it. I'll take a look. No, I do have the SteelSeries mouse, but I don't. I'm using. Well, there's like 2 or 3 mice that I use in regular rotation. The Viper V3 is fantastic. I can highly recommend it. Okay, so he's gonna play a Chabanenko Slav. Okay, I like to go G3 here. It's really all I know. My pillow's upside down? Oh yeah, thanks. Thank you for... That would also bother me if I was watching somebody. V3. If there's a great mouse, if you want like a non-expensive mouse, I mean like $50 I think is for $50 you can get like a top of the line gaming mouse. Okay, wait, what if I just take here? No, okay, that doesn't look good. I'm just gonna castle. I never had a Logitech sponsorship. I really wish I did. That would have been awesome, but I never had a sponsorship. I mean, I actually wrote them at some point, but obviously I'm not like big enough of a fish. I'm not Fedoseev. I'm not a big fish. Dude, I don't know how to deal with this guy's A6. Like, he just plays A6 and then C6, and I'm literally always worse out of the opening. It's crazy. I should probably go knight F3 against him. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm playing terribly. And he's just spot stuff instantly. Yeah, this guy Trumitsios is actually a very annoying opponent. I do beat him most of the time, but... Okay, I'm just dead lost. I can resign. Let's just try to create tactics. No, but that doesn't work either. I just lose. Oh, nice. Okay. Just takes on E4 and takes on E5. Easy clap. I mean, FM. Of course, we'll see this and much other stuff. Wow, I'm just getting crushed by this dude. The mousepad is important. I would say get a big mousepad, you can get a glass trackpad, those are more expensive, but you can also get just a regular big mousepad. Okay, bishop h3 maybe, trying to survive. I've been basically losing all day. Okay, whoa, that doesn't look right. No, now I should be back in the game. Queen h4 maybe. Arctic Bear is, I don't know exactly who it is, but could be Nihal. My top guess would be Nihal, but I'm not, obviously that's most people's top guess, so I don't know. I don't actually know for a fact. I do not know. And nor does anybody, because it's not public information. Literally anytime Hans is down, I'm down to play him. As you know, I'm always down to play Hans. Like literally anytime, I will get out of bed to play him. It's allowed for GMs to have an alternate account because they're GMs. I think it's fair. Okay, I actually have some chances here. Yeah, he's playing the US Championship at the moment. No, there's nobody I fear playing other than cheaters. Dude, Han said something that made me crack up. He said, I'm being treated like the president of a small island country, I think he said, which I thought was hilarious. It's kind of an adorable interview, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, let's see. Nihal, yeah, he likes multiple account stuff. So it takes. Okay, let's see here. You got a room already. Magnus kind of is still in his prime, sort of. Dude, I actually won this game. This is like a travesty. Like, I was literally so lost this game with no prospects of counterplay. Oh my god, I blundered. Oh my god, this is just pathetic. He had Bishop F2 at the end, and this is just a terrible game. Let's just turn the page on this. Let's turn the page on this game. Yeah, okay. Let's play again. We could Professor Ted. Lion Ted. Let's go C5. Oh, Magnus is online. Let's challenge him again. I actually asked Magnus if this bothered him. That, like, basically I challenge him anytime he goes online. And he said no, so I can do it. He was like, oh, sorry, I can't play. I was like, yo, you don't need to I need to apologize to you. Like, when did he last accept? Pretty recently. Let's see. Oh, thank you. I'm glad it did. Some. I give him trouble a lot of times. I mean, we've had a lot of close matches. I would say that it's usually competitive. I mean, obviously I lose like 95% of the time. Not 100% of the time. I've won a couple of matches, mini matches, but I'm under no illusions about how the match is going to go. That's not the point. Like, everybody loses to Magnus because he's Magnus. Well, I beat MVL, but by a narrow margin. Yeah. I won 3 Title Tuesday games against him in a row, which is crazy. But yeah, I just got lucky most times. Okay, let's see. I mean, it's not really insane. He's the best player in the history of humanity, so he's going to beat everybody. Let's go here. Okay, he played Rook C6, which I didn't really expect. Actually, no, H5, I'll just play Rook B2. I do get to play Prague sometimes, which I like a lot. I actually trained with Prague for a bit. Super fun experience. Iragaisi sometimes will play casual blitz occasionally. That's funny, goated Bruce. Yeah, the Meltwater, Air Things, Chess Festival, Chestival 23, and me Global Partnership Planetary Globe Championship. Did I get that right? Yeah, I think I got all the sponsors. Shit. I missed one sponsor. I'm just too old now. think about it. No, it's owned by Nestle. It's actually owned by, what is that, BlackRock. It's, I mean, everything and their brother, I mean, my family is freaking owned by BlackRock, and probably I'm owned by BlackRock. I think Elon Musk acquired them, so. I'm not really opposed to increment per se, and I've never been opposed to increment over the board. No, он всегда 6 начинает. Yeah. It bought all the houses in your area. Sounds like BlackRock. I'm sure they're looking out for the future of humanity. Just like all such corporations. Let's go knight a4. Increment entitled to... I actually prefer 3+1, I think. Believe it or not. I think 5+0 is too long. No, I definitely don't want to move back to Cali. Not a chance. Dude, it's just too freaking expensive. I mean, not that anywhere is cheap right now, but... I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. Dude, Charlotte is where it's at. Okay, bishop d5 maybe. I'd rather see 3+0 too. I don't understand where 5+0 comes from. Shit. I mean, shit. I just blundered. Shit. Bishop 8 is a very nice move, though. It's kind of instructive. I don't take the links blue line, no. I don't take public transport here. And don't recommend it. Unfortunately, it is not particularly developed in this city. Well, the problem is most people who shit on California aren't actually from California. I have no idea what they're talking about. So I'm simultaneously defensive, but also you have to acknowledge that it is not in a vaguely affordable state and is just ridiculous in many ways. Charlotte has a pretty good road network, though. I think that the infrastructure is pretty good in general. Like, the driving infrastructure is good. The roads are good. I haven't had any problems, but yeah, there's no real public transport for a pretty sprawling city. Dude, I have a close family member who lives in LA, so I know LA very well. I almost missed a commentary in LA because of the traffic. I mean, LA has a great food scene. LA is LA. I mean, LA is its own universe. Like, I'm not a fan, but I can appreciate its positive qualities. Okay, I just got destroyed in a position where I'm up a frickin' exchange. I don't have a watch. I don't think I have enough watches to qualify as a collection. That would be... But thanks. Okay, I don't know why I lost this game. There was no business losing this game. Absolutely no business losing this game. Yeah, bishop a8 I just missed. And it's game over. Truth hurts. Truth hurts. Well, I lost that by blundering bishop a8. The game is over after this. Well, 77 sucks. Yeah, that's of course I do. I'm from the Bay Area. All of my family's in the Bay. Or most. Yeah, Bishop CA you would have gotten banned, so. I just don't like the New York. Well, it happens more from people from New York City than California, but the elitism of like, oh, you're from Charlottesville? It's like, no, Charlottesville is a different city. I'm from Charlotte. You're from Charlotte, South Carolina? No, South Carolina is a different state. It has cities like Charleston. It's North Carolina, and it's a big city. Like, where do you eat? Like, do you just like eat fried chicken? Like are there restaurants and like public spaces and like concerts and stuff? Like is there an airport that has flights anywhere other than like South Carolina? Do you have like internet? Actually, yeah, better than yours, bitch. Just kidding. Can you like go buy stuff at the like store? Like, is there like a Whole Foods? Yeah. Я в 6 часов по моему времени, через 3 часа буду делать, ну, не знаю, как перевести, но буду играть, и транслировать будет канал Чесбра, Аман, ну, вы, наверное, знаете. И я там буду стараться набивать рейтинг. Так что за сегодняшний день надеюсь, что получится и 300, и даже, может быть, 3200. Но за этот стрим шансов особенно нет. Lol. According to some, you didn't know what the laptop was. I see. I know what you're referencing. Are you referencing what I think you're referencing? Сон отменяется. Это у тебя сон отменяется. Спасибо, да. Вы знаете канал Чесбра. Он будет сначала комментировать, потом я буду играть сам и сам комментировать. Ну, по-английски, естественно. Sorry, I'm speaking to... Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know how many idiots Tanya talks to, but I don't think it's too many. Yeah. I am thinking of that individual. Are you? Yeah, there was like a computer on the floor and he didn't want to say that it was a computer. Wow, great minds think alike, right? Dude, I love A Fish Called Wanda. I don't know how you know that, but that's actually one of my favorite movies. That scene with John Cleese speaking Russian in A Fish Called Wanda is legendary. Yeah, he's just funny in general. That's one of my favorite comedies. The Chip, the British contribution to world cuisine. Cathcart Towers Hotel? I'm sorry I ate your fish. I'm sorry. I look like a streamer called Ghost Ifas. Interesting. Okay. You know what's a good word that I came across recently? It's your word of the day. Antediluvian. Yeah, it means, so literally it comes from ante, which means before. And if you've heard of the word deluge, it means flood. So literally it means before the flood, but in actuality it means something that's super outdated. Like my friend, I visited my friend's house and he had a 2006 Compaq laptop, which was quite antediluvian. It's interesting because in Russian, there's exactly the same word that is constructed in exactly the same way, like before the flood. Допотопный, yeah, it's a good word. Before the flood, like you can use it the same way. Yeah, потоп is one of the words for flood. Do means before, and then ni is like a descriptor. Потоп is flood. I mean, it's like a old word for flood. The modern word for flood is наводнение, but потоп is like, I guess, how you refer to like the flood in the Bible. Oh, the Ethiopian king. I know that spelling bee clip. Of course, I won't say the word, but I do want to continue streaming on Twitch. But can it's like the boys like, can you what is the language of origin? It's like, could you use it in a sentence? Oh, what did I just do? I just made a really stupid move. Oh my god, I thought it was mate. I'm so... You know what word I want to use, because it's the only correctly describes my brain functionality right now. I mean, this is ridiculous. I'm gonna try to retard my opponent's development next game. Okay, can we play somebody who's not an anonymous FM or IM? I think I'll have more success. Maybe somebody with the initials MC. And what the hell? What the hell is F5? Just BA and I win the game. Dumbass. Dumas. Alexander Dumas. Okay, who's Blitz? Let's play Blitz stream. Let's poach Blitz stream. You must be streaming. Let's poach him. Let's poach Blitz stream. Wait, I just have to change my formula. Incoming minus 200. Yep. He's only 20. I mean, he's just fun to play. Teach him some Moliere. Thank you. Okay, I don't know any Moliere. Okay, let's see if we can get Blitzstream when he seeks a game. I'm going to try to poach him. I mean, he was already lost. It doesn't matter. No, I don't know why people are so, like, when you're, like, dead lost like this, it's pretty normal just to, like, give up the rest of your pieces. This doesn't count as, like, a full-on blunder. Okay, I'm waiting for him to seek a game. Is he playing? No, he's already playing somebody. Okay, I mean, he just got a game instantly, so there was nothing I could do. Yeah, I'm probably going to get going and prepare for my chess brush blitz grind in 3 hours. Should we do a speedrun just, like, for old time's sake? Yes? Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. It's been a while. Let's do a YouTube video. All right, let's do it. Let's do it, and then I'll get going. Okay, just a second. I'm going to $10 in 1 second for Owen Bodacious. Thank you for the sub. Appreciate it. I'm going to switch to my other account. Just bear with me, folks. Yeah, just give me a second, folks. Let me just realign the board and the opponents. I'm going to change the board color so that it doesn't look blue. Okay, let's see here. Okay. This one here. This one we need to expand a little bit. And we need to fix the times. And there we go. There we go. Okay, let's do this. Okay, I don't know if you'll be able to see. Oh, stuck. Oh, no, sorry. Did we get subs? Oh, I'm getting a mouse advertisement. Okay, we want to do classic pieces so that the board doesn't look weird. How does this look? How is the alignment? I think it's good. Okay. How is the audio? Can you guys hear me well? I hope there's no peaking. Very important because this will be on YouTube, obviously. Perfect. Okay. All right. Well, let's get the show on the road. Welcome, everybody, to another speedrun episode. You thought I was gone forever, but little do you know, I'm back better than ever, visiting you in your nightmares. Of course, nightmare number 1, another speedrun episode. Couldn't think of anything worse. All right, so welcome, just kidding, hopefully. Welcome the denizens of YouTube to another speedrun episode. I know that the episodes have been few and far between. I've been sort of taking kind of a creative break, deciding, future avenues of content, So I won't delve too much into it right now because I know everybody's excited for some chess games. So we're going to pick up where we left off. We're going to start with a 10-minute game as usual. We're rated 1823, perfectly placed in sort of intermediate stan, and club player stan. And then we'll see if we have time for a 5-minute game. Let's go. Without further ado, folks, we have the black pieces. Hopefully I remember how the pieces actually move. Okay, so we're facing c4. I think this speedrun, we've been playing the King's Indian, if I'm not mistaken. So we can start with knight f6. We can also start with g6. It doesn't really matter. And we get the King's Indian set up. And white plays d3. So one sort of important thing to keep separate in your mind, right? The difference between the English opening setups and sort of 1d4 setups, the queen's pawn game setups. And of course they can, well, it's sort of like a rectangle. Every square is a rectangle, but not every rectangle is a square. I have to double check that in my mind. So any English opening can transpose to a queen's pawn game. Of course, if black doesn't play e5, if white plays d4. But the good thing about the King's Indian is you don't have to worry about any of that. You play the same setup, and, you know, later on, of course, there will be changes based on the setup that your opponent chooses. But unlike openings like the Queen's Gambit Declined or the Slav or, you know, some other stuff, you don't have to change your own move order based on whether your opponent plays c4 or d4 or one knight f3, which I know is very annoying to a lot of people. You just basically play the same moves against everything. And for lazy people like me, this is a godsend. Okay, so e4, we can play d6. Now, the sort of proper way for white to continue is to fianchetto the bishop and then to play knight ge2. This is called, at least in my sort of understanding, the Botvinnik setup. And if you're watching the speedrun, not for the first time, you've definitely seen me apply this setup with colors reversed against a lot of anti-Sicilians, and I'll kind of show you the connection. Bishop e2 is not particularly congruent with the pawn structure that white is choosing. Of course, you can imagine if this position occurred with the white pawn on d4, this would just be a mainline King's Indian. And it should be pretty obvious that positionally, having the pawn on d3 rather than on d4 is a downgrade. It's a pretty significant downgrade because the d4 square we can utilize as a stronghold for our pieces. And based on that, if you're thinking flexibly about the position, you shouldn't be rushing to play e5 here, which is sort of the King's Indian move, right? Based on the fact that white has rolled out this kind of semi-Botvinnik structure, it's more positionally more positionally fitting to rely on the move c7, c5, and to get kind of a dragon Sicilian setup, which I've also many times played against different move orders. So actually c5 here is a perfectly good move, then knight c6, and we basically fight for the d4 square. There is really no fight. We just control the d4 square. The fight is over. It's a bloodless war. So white is just playing pretty much like random moves. This doesn't really impact our, you know, development. We can just develop our pieces. And h4, okay. So our opponent suddenly switches from like weird semi-anti-positional chess to I want to checkmate you and rip your throat out. Well, that's not going to be easy to accomplish because from a strategic standpoint, white is just not equipped to do any serious damage on the king side. However, that does not mean that we should allow white to play h5. There is no reason for us to allow white to play h5 and open the h file. Why should we deal with that? So what is the standard way here to counteract this move? This is actually an instructive moment for a lot of newer players who are not taught correctly in this type of situation. I think a lot of you are probably thinking h6 here in order to meet h5 with g5. And I actually don't really like h6 in most of these positions, and I'll show you why after the game. H6 has a lot of drawbacks. h5 is a great move because we're controlling the g4 square. So I'm anticipating a move like f3 if I understand our opponent correctly. No, bishop g5. But it's going to be very, very difficult for white to actually break our stronghold on the g4 square. Okay, so what do we do now? Of course, first of all, and not even first, and last of all, we're just going to go knight d4, occupy the square, and potentially contend for the bishop pair. Well, our opponent just hands us the bishop pair as it is. Also, a good bonus of the move knight c4 is we've prevented white from playing g4. I feel like our opponent is very tempted to play it anyway, but if g4 happens, we just take the bishop and then we take on g4, and our pawn structure remains fully intact. So the best, well, white is already much worse. And, you know, a good positional exercise here for you would be to pause the video and sort of list out the factors that give black an advantage. And also a good exercise is see if you can approximately evaluate this position. What do you think the computer's assessment is in this position? This is a good way to make sure that you're approximately understanding the sort of the factors and the most important factors in the position. My assessment here, like let's say on move 11 after knight d5, is negative 1.5. I'm going to say negative 1.5, maybe even close to negative 2. And we don't have the time to delve into it, but I think black is very significantly better here, close to positionally winning. So obviously we want to keep the bishop here. We want to keep the dark squared bishop. We don't want to give it away. And we can chase the knight away at our leisure with e6. Okay, so knight f3. Now, flexible thinking, right? You shouldn't just blindly take on e2 because this is what we planned earlier. You should realize that as soon as the knight moved away from c3, it opened up the diagonal, which means the b2 pawn is a target, and there's absolutely no reason why we can't help ourselves to that target and play knight takes f3, just bishop takes b2. White is also uncastled, so at least part of you should be keeping the move queen a5 check as a potential resource. Of course, if you play this move at the wrong moment, the e7 pawn is going to end up hanging, so it's not a check that you should give just for blanks and giggles. Where should we move our bishop back? Well, there's nothing wrong with moving it back to g7, especially because one observation that you should be making here is now that the knight is gone from d4, we do have to at least keep in mind our response to the move g4. And of course, like if we give white a lot of time and if white is able to play g4 and then white is able to play h5, things are going to get dangerous on the king side. So fortunately, we have the resources to be able to fight that. But I don't like bishop d4 for this reason. Because after bishop d4, g4, our king is just a little bit more exposed. And I think in light of the fact that white is likely to play g4, it's good to keep our bishop sort of closer to our king. There we go. How is that going to pay off? Well, because of our limited time, I'm not going to comment on the next few moves as extensively as I'd like. But what we're going to do here is start with the move e6. We're going to chase this knight away from the center. And we're going to meet fire with fire. Now, anytime that white plays the move g4, it's a double-edged sword. Yes, white is now, you could say, threatening to play h5, and it could look scary. On the other hand, white is also not castled. Moreover, white can't castle queenside. The rook has moved. And white can't really castle kingside because there essentially is no kingside to speak of. So because fundamentally, positionally, our position is much more sound. We have less weaknesses. Our pawn structure is better. Our pieces are more coordinated. We basically benefit if the position opens up. And so that explains my choice to play the move f5, essentially saying, why do you have a monopoly on the king side? Why can't we also attack on the king side? Yeah, our king is technically on the king side and white's king is in the center, but that's not going to matter because white's pieces are so poorly placed. Here, actually, we can take either g takes f5. I prefer e takes f5, keeping our king's pawn structure more or less intact, and, of course, opening up the e file. Now, I hear what you're saying. You're probably saying, aren't we weakening the d5 square? Yeah, we are. But at this level, you know, some of the moves you make are going to have drawbacks. This is something I have repeated a lot in the speedrun. You know, just because a move has an obvious drawback doesn't make it a bad move per se. What we're going for here is, well, we're threatening f4. And at some point, we do want to bring our bishop out. Where do we put our bishop? I would even sacrifice the b7 pawn. I don't think the pawn count here is important. Let me think for a second. Actually, bishop d4 looks pretty decent here as well. Feels like I haven't played in the optimal fashion, but we should still be much better here. Let me think for a second. Okay, I'm going to go I'm going to go rook b8 here. I think we have the time. Maybe not literally, but figuratively speaking, we can afford to overprotect this pawn. Now we're going to keep the king structure intact by playing g5. It may look scary for white to for us to allow h6, but once the pawn reaches h7, we just hide behind it. Actually, keeping this pawn alive benefits us entirely. Bishop d5 check. Okay, so here I do have to be careful. Let's go king h7. Actually, let's go king h8. I'll explain why after the game, but king h7 I didn't want to allow, like bishop f7, etc. Now we can play bishop d4. Feels like I haven't played this optimally, but I'm still not scared. I'm not scared of getting mated. It's more like I'm surprised we're not better than we are. This is going to be instructive to analyze with a computer, which is going to yell at me, but it's okay. I'm used to getting yelled at by my chess coaches, and Stockfish is in many ways our coach. Yeah, maybe g takes f5 was better. Maybe f5 was wrong. I don't know. We'll see. I don't pretend to be perfect. Actually, it would not be interesting if I was perfect in the speedrun. So what is going on here? First of all, we need to have a response plan to queen h5. The good thing about this position is that white does not really have any mating squares. Like, if you ask yourself, how can white even hypothetically set up a mate? Let's say white has 2 moves in a row. It's actually hard to do that because we're fairly reliably controlling the g7 square. Now, that doesn't mean we need to give white access to all these infiltration squares. The reason I play rook f8 is so that the queen is now free to move up to f6, which we couldn't do here. Second of all, it's a good idea to overprotect the f5 pawn. And third of all, if white does decide to infiltrate with queen g6, I do plan to respond with queen f6, essentially chasing the queen away. Because remember, we are a pawn up, so an endgame benefits us entirely. Also, the h6 pawn will turn from a strength to a weakness in an endgame because white will no longer have the firepower to defend it against our rook and king. Finally, it's time to bring this bishop out of c8. I'm expecting our opponent to recognize their mistake and bring the queen back to h5, in which case we'll bring the bishop to d7 and try to quickly get a rook to e8 and resume our central attack. Also, things that I notice here. If at some point white plays rook to g1, we can just meet that by playing g4, building a little mini pawn chain that's super well protected. White's attack has officially sort of fizzled out here, so this is a big turning point in the game. Also, you can kind of see very clearly an illustration of the notion that knights are much more effective at occupying weak squares than bishops. Like, this bishop looks nice on an outpost, but it's robbing the knight of a square that it really wants to have. Dvoretsky calls this concept the superfluous piece, when you basically have one big outpost, but you have two pieces, such as 2 knights or a knight and a bishop, contending for just one parking spot. And one of the pieces is basically going to be disgruntled, so much so that we can actually just take this knight and then play f4 and open up the king side. This time it's us opening up the king side, and because we have 2 pieces on the f-file, white cannot afford to allow the f-file to open up, so I'm anticipating a move like e4. Fighting for the same square. Rook f2, that's a good move. But now we can bring our bishop out, let's say, to f5. I think we can do this. Yes, bishop f5. I'm trying to provoke e4 in order to take the heat off of the f4 pawn so that basically we have an intact, connected chain of passed pawns, which will eventually get moving once the bishop drops back. If white plays e takes f4, we can play bishop takes d3 check and then open up the g-file, and the king will be on that g-file. So that looks nice for us. I do have 90 seconds here, so I should probably have sped up earlier. Might have to stop talking for a bit, which of course is a great relief to most people watching. You're like, yes, finally. Okay, bishop d7. And actually now, you should be asking yourself, in what order are we going to push our pawns? So are we necessarily going to play g4 here? There is a better move, And obviously, you should always be thinking ambitiously. You should always be thinking, part of your brain should always be responsible for finding mating patterns, like always. And this is a good example, right, of where a lot of people would go G4. It's a good move. It's winning, but F3 creates a mate threat all the way in the corner on A1. And it's a very hard mate threat to deal with, because if white moves the rook from F2, we can actually push now our pawn to F2 at the very least. That should be crushing. If white runs with the king, he loses the rook. Queen A1, queen takes G1. White basically has no defense against mate here. No adequate defense. So again, if I had to give a theme to this game, it would be flexible thinking. Now, white does have a defense here, which I just noticed. I don't think that it saves him, but it definitely prolongs the game. Let's see if our opponent can find it. It's an impressive move for sure. I was crapping on this bishop, but this bishop actually can help white stave off checkmate. No, I'm not talking about queen takes. That's not a serious defensive move. It just gives up a rook. I'm talking about the move E5. And so is my opponent. Paul is doing a lot of good stuff in this game. Okay, so I'm actually thinking now what to do. This is an important moment to get right because I'm low on time. And I want to play accurately. Okay, we're going to go here. Rook E8. Threatening mate on E2. Basically fighting for the F-file. Fighting for the F-file. And I'm going to have to get this mating attack right the first time, because I don't have necessarily the time to convert some long endgame. Bishop E4. Our opponent is playing very well. I gotta say, he's defending super, super well. Okay, I think bishop C6 is good here. Again, continuing to fight for the F-file. If rook takes G5, we can play rook takes F3. That should be winning. Bishop takes F3. Yes, I think this is winning. Queen takes F3 gives up the rook on G5. If white plays bishop F3, that allows infiltration. And if that's not a mating attack, then I quit chess and quit my YouTube career forever. Rook E2 check, very important move. The bishop cannot capture because of the pin. Now, we should play all of our moves with check here. That's sort of a common sense thing, because if we don't give check, white has this trick, rook G8 check, king takes G8, and queen G6. At the very least, that looks annoying. So if we can continue with check, we should. Now, notice how all of our pieces are involved. All three pieces are involved in the attack in some way. This increases the chance that there will be a mating net, because white has to divert his resources just to covering the checks, thereby, thereby clogging up potential escape squares for the king. Now, there's multiple mating patterns here depending on how white plays. Also, you should remember that in lieu of delivering checkmate, one satisfactory outcome of the attack is basically winning all of white's pieces. I think people forget this. Like, in some cases, if we play queen F1 check, and then rook H2 check, we're going to win white's queen. And that's already sufficient as a successful outcome of the attack. So you're not only looking for mate, although that is the main thing, of course, that would cap off the attack. So here, for example, you can play practically with bishop takes G4 check. But if you want to play accurately, I think something like rook E3 or queen F1 check is going to do the job even faster. I'm just trying to figure out the final nail in the coffin here. Somehow our opponent is still kicking, which is insane. Yeah, but queen king H4. Let's take here, just as a little insurance policy. Man, it's actually hard to win this without trading queens, which is honestly probably what we should do. We should just trade queens, because if we trade queens, it's going to be very easy to win this position. King F5, queen E5, or queen E6. Yeah, this is going to be mate. Unless white plays king G5, then we can play rook E5 and win the queen. Yeah, we win white's queen here. Rook E5, king either H4, F4. We take the pawn on H6, and we pin the queen with queen G5, and that's it. Now it's easy to win. No, this is not a great game by me. I apologize. There was a lot of mistakes, but that's how we learn. I was a little bit overconfident and thought that I could just like win right at the opening. Turned out that White's defensive construction was more robust than I gave it credit for. Notice how I'm pre-moving because White can't attack our queen at all. Now basically, we can take the bishop, but we don't even need to. We can basically work around the bishop to deliver mate a lot faster. Here. Now there's no worry about stalemate. So just queen b4 and queen takes b7. Good thing to practice also. Let's load this into chessbase. And I'm going to have the computer on here because we have a lot of stuff to check with our third commentator here. Okay. So let's load the game. A lot of takeaways. Yeah, good job by our opponent. That was very well defended. Very well defended. I'm going to have the chat open on my phone as usual. Okay, so let's have a look here. Let's have a look here. Okay, I'm just closing some of the games that are open. There we go. And we have chess base. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so c4. A little bit of historical chess trivia. As far as I know, why is 1c4 known as the English opening? Asterisk, I haven't double checked this. I'm pretty sure this is true, but you can check this and correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Does anybody have any theories about why c4 is called the English opening? It was played in England. So the reason, as far as I heard it, is because a guy named Howard Staunton, who I've talked about a lot, was basically the best player in the world until Morphy came along. He was also the leading chess author of the early to mid 19th century. And one of Staunton's most famous books, this is a first edition of it, is called, or let's see if this is a first or second edition. This is a Chess Player's Handbook, second edition. This is a second edition, which was published in the year MDCC XLVIII. Thank you, Howard, for writing this in frickin' Roman numerals. 1848. So this book, I think, came out in the early 1840s, second edition from 1848. Look at the condition of this book. It's pretty incredible. And this is a complete manual of chess. It's 500 pages, and it has instruction on openings, middle games, and end games. It's an incredible book, way ahead of its time. And this counteracts the notion that back in the 1800s, in between dumping their piss out the window onto the citizens of London and slaughtering animals in the public square, the people who did write chess books didn't care about openings because that, quote, wasn't a thing. Not only were openings a thing, but most of them had modern names. And there is a lot of opening analysis that's way ahead of its time. Like, Staunton knew what he was talking about. There were opening books, and there was a lot of opening discussion going on, mostly on the King's Gambit and like 1e4 openings, but not only that. So back to what I started with. Why is this called the English? Because Staunton said the following. Just listen to this. Listen to this. This is the section on the Sicilian, which, of course, is in many ways reverse of the English. Just a second. He looks at the Benoni, Queen's Gambit. Just a second. I'm almost there. King's Gambit. The Sicilian game. So the Sicilian was already called the Sicilian. And this is from page 371. Game the second, the Sicilian game. Pawn to king 4, pawn to queen bishop's 4th. In the opinion of Janisch, who was a German author, and the authors of the German handbook, leading opening book of the day, with which I coincide. That is, I agree. This is the best possible reply to the move of 1e4. This is 1848. Staunton already had the minority opinion that the Sicilian was good. Since it renders the formation of a center impractical for white and prevents every attack. This defense is found in the earlier Italian works and has been analyzed by Philidor in 1777, as well as Damiano, Lopez, and Salvio in the 1600s. So that's what he says about the Sicilian. Now, let's go to the section on the English. Staunton was the first person to analyze the English opening, and this, I believe, is why it's called the English. It's named in honor of Howard Staunton, and he says the following. He says something really interesting. There. Just a second. Pawn to queen, bishop's fourth, 1c4. This is from page 384. Hopefully this is interesting. Little historical excursion. Let me know if it's getting stale. So he says c4. Pawn to queen, bishop's fourth, c5. This is an opening which may be adopted with perfect security either by the first or second player. The move recommended by modern authors for black's reply is e5. And we have then, of course, the same position as if black had commenced the game, as if white had commenced the game with e4, and you had replied with c5, with the difference that in the present instance you have the advantage of the move, that is an extra tempo. A circumstance which seems to have escaped the notice of some writers, since with a strange inconsistency, they carry on the game from this position and decided in favor of black, who is a move behind, while in the Sicilian game, when the position is reversed and you have black's position, and in addition the advantage of the move, you can barely make an even game. And then he analyzes the English. So Staunton basically realized that this is like a Sicilian with an extra tempo. Of course, if we're a King's Indian player, we don't really need to learn c4, e5, which to this day is considered a top class response to c4. I have a few of Staunton's books, and he also did a Shakespeare compendium that's considered to be one of the. Yeah, he was a pretty impressive guy, although kind of a jerk. More on that later. So c4, knight f6, knight to c3, g6. Now, of course, white at any point can transpose to a typical King's Indian. Usually this is done by playing e4. Who can tell me, why do people play e4 here rather than d4 when they want to transpose to a King's Indian? What is the advantage from white's perspective of starting with e4 and only playing d4 here? What is it that white's trying to avoid? White's trying to avoid the Grunfeld, exactly. So if white plays d4 here, he has to reckon with a mainline Grunfeld. But by playing e4, you're preventing d5. Now, it is true that you're allowing a few other moves. Like you're allowing a move that Andy Woodward is known to play, which is e5. You're also allowing c5, which is not as good of a continuation. But these are less significant. Like c5 basically transposes to an accelerated dragon after knight f3. If black plays bishop g7 and white plays d4, you have a Marozzi-bind accelerated dragon, which of course not everybody plays. E5 is a completely independent line that leads to some very interesting positions. This has not been popular until very recently. So the idea here for black is to play knight f3, and now Andy has shown some ideas with the move bishop g7. This position first occurred in the year 1936 in the USSR Championship, of course. Frank James Marshall was the second U.S. champion, was the second person to have this position in 1941. The point is, after knight takes e5, black just castles and develops serious compensation for the pawn. Knight takes e5, short castles. White typically returns to f3, rook e8, d3. And now if you want to pause the video and find a very powerful move that basically justifies the whole line, black to play and develop positional compensation for the pawn. Basically, you want to open up the center. You're not trying to win the pawn back here for black. You're trying to get serious positional compensation. d5, exactly right. C takes d5, knight takes d5. There's 114 games in the database here. Queen takes d5, bishop e2. And what should this remind you of after queen to d6, short castles, c5? This is a very typical type of compensation that occurs, for example, if you're a Sicilian player. After f4, you might remember that the move is d5. And you don't recapture the pawn, you play knight f6, and you are allowing white to secure the pawn with c4. You play e6. Now, this is a worse version for white because there is a pawn sticking out like a sore thumb, but it's the same principle where white has the extra pawn here, but you have full control over the d4 square and sort of easy development for your pieces. So the computer evaluates this position as equal. Of course, white has a better structure than he does in that Sicilian line, but still, this is a very hotly contested line. Aronian versus Grishuk from 2016. Cheparinov won a game here in 2020, so this is being actively debated. Okay, let's get to the game. White plays c4, knight f6. None of this happened. White decided to play d3. And the sort of standard English setup is to play g3 and then fianchetto the bishop. And after d6, basically white can choose between two main setups. The traditional English setup is to play knight f3. And after e5, short castle, we get sort of a tabia of the English. Or white can roll out the Botvinnik setup with either e3 or, more commonly, as our opponent did, e4. And here, I'm sure we're going to get this in future games, but our move, once again, is c5 rather than e5. And black's method of playing this is to fight for the d4 square and to prepare this very typical plan of a6 and b5 on the queen side. Now, the way our opponent played it was obviously suboptimal. Bishop e2 is kind of a weird move. We respond with c5. And bishop d2 is another very passive method of development. Not much to comment here. Rook c1, another move that doesn't accomplish much. White is just sort of wasting moves. Short castles, and h4. So quick comment here. I mentioned that h6 is not the optimal way of protecting against h5. And there's two reasons for this. The first is, in many cases, white can play h5 anyway, and then white can exploit this newly created hook on g5 to play f4. And here you basically cannot avoid an opening up of the king side. Of course, here specifically, black is still fine, but I'm talking more generally. Secondly, white can play the move g4, which is actually even a problem in this position, and now g5 is a serious threat, which once again would put black in an unenviable dilemma, either to open the h-file or to allow g takes h6. You kind of have to move the knight away, which is not something that we really want to do. And then white can play, for example, f4, and then again, h5 becomes a problem. Okay, so for this reason, we play h5 in most of these types of positions. White plays bishop g5. This is not anything to worry about. Yeah, technically, it's kind of a weakness that we've created, but it's not a significant factor in the position. Now we played knight d4. White hands us the bishop pair for some reason. And after knight d5, I asked you guys to evaluate this position. Time for the reveal. I said minus 1.5 close to minus 2. According to Stockfish at a high depth, it is minus 2 exactly. Black should be winning here with best play. But obviously, I ended up kind of messing it up. Yeah, it's minus 2. A little bit more than minus 2, actually. Bishop g7, knight f3. Here I played correctly. Now it's closer to minus 3 after we win the pawn. And it should kind of make sense to people why this position is minus 2, even if white doesn't blunder the pawn. It's just the combination of factors, right? The bishop pair. The fact that we have this huge outpost on d4 and can chase white's knight away. The fact that we have obvious play on the queen side when we need it by preparing b7, b5. And the fact that white cannot develop this knight without giving up the pawn on b2, which of course is what happened. According to the computer, white's best move is b3, kind of a sad move to play. We would respond with e6. White probably drops the knight back. And we're just killing white on the dark squares. Bishop h6 here is a very nice move. And if white moves the rook back, he loses the game on the spot. Rook a1, queen a5, and it's time to go home. Like, this is how fast, these weak dark squares can translate into material losses. So from that perspective, knight f3 was not a bad practical try. And here, according to the computer, bishop g7 is totally fine. Bishop d4 was also good. Let's see where I went wrong, because I definitely went wrong at some point. Okay, e6 Yeah, h takes g4 is fine. e6 is top move. Knight e3. And here I made a mistake, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so here I made 2 consecutive inaccuracies. f5 was unnecessary, actually, turns out. Yeah, the best move here is just bishop d7. And the point is very simple. If white plays h5, first of all, you can play g5 and keep the king side close. So I overestimated this idea. But second of all, you can play what other move? Which I wouldn't recommend to play this move. I would not recommend to play this move, but you can play it. What are we talking about? No, g5 is my recommended move. I would recommend to play g5. And again, you should understand that h6 is not dangerous because the bishop can just move away. And white would like to capture his own pawn. Then the attack would actually be something to reckon with. Because this pawn is permanently in place, our king always has shelter on h8. White has no attack. We're talking about bishop a4, winning the exchange. Why do you think I wouldn't recommend this move? What does white have here that, at the very least, you have to reckon with and is a little bit unpleasant? Yeah, so not h6. You guys should not be thinking of h6 as a dangerous move because, again, we just move our bishop away. This is just one movitis. Like, why is h6 dangerous? It's not. The pawn reaches h7 and we hide with our king. So not h6. We're talking about h takes g6. And suddenly, if black recaptures, e6 falls, and this is a disaster because we have to give our rook away. So white is able to open the h file. Now, if you look with the computer, it turns out that this is not dangerous because white is running out of pieces. You can actually just take the rook. White can play g takes f7, and you could even take with the rook on f7 because, of course, the queen is hanging. White has to recapture. And we bring the queen up to f6. Black is still winning simply because, yeah, the h file is open. Congratulations. But one thing to understand is that even if white lands the queen on h7, it's not dangerous. Like, even if the queen lands on h7 here, which is sort of like a best case scenario, okay, big deal. Absolutely no follow-up because of the role of this uncontested bishop, which is controlling all of the important dark squares. He just runs out of gas. Now, typically, a check on h7 actually is dangerous. In many cases, white can follow this up with some sort of nasty little move. For example, here's an example from chess history that shows in which type of circumstance a check on h7 like this can be dangerous. Just a moment. This is a fairly well-known game, and I've shown it before, but hey, it's good to see stuff again. Let me just do a chess-based scene. Yeah, give me a second to work this. Okay, here we go. Okay, just a moment. Let me bring the camera. Copy and paste. Here we go. Okay, we just got to remove the webcam and put this guy here. Here we go. Thanks for waiting. Okay, so this is a game from the 1978 Olympiad. Danya was a grandmaster from the Netherlands, but this is one of his worst games of his career. It's white to play. How would you continue the attack here for white? It's a simple maneuver. Like, this should be very simple. So you should play queen h3 blunders the queen. But you have the right idea. Queen to g3, and then queen to h4 is coming next. Now let's do some compare and contrast. What is the difference between this position and the position we had? Well, the biggest difference is the presence of the rook on f8, which prevents black from escaping with the king. If this rook were elsewhere, this would not be as disastrous. But because the rook is on f8, black must play the move f5. And now the famous part of the game, queen h7, king f7. Now, white is winning on the spot with the move rook h6. Another very common idea that you should be aware of. g6 will fall with checkmate. But white found a much more beautiful combination. Queen takes g6, Botez gambit, bishop h5, forcing the king back to the h-file. And now, actually, this is a very nice ending. Bishop f7 check, game is not over, bishop h6. Now, if you just blindly take on h6, after king g7, black is mostly home scot-free, but white has this really gorgeous move, g6. Check, and the king is caught in a mating net. Either king h8, you take with the rook and deliver mate, or king g7, bishop h6, black resigned, because it's just made in a few moves. So really important to see how these small differences impact the same idea. Here it's very dangerous, of course, because of all these additional factors. Here, of course, you cannot compare because white simply has no attack. Does that make sense? Okay, let's refresh for a second. Okay, so this was an acceptable way to play. Instead, I played f5, which was a mistake. And then e takes f5 was actually another mistake, after which my advantage is greatly diminished. I think I underestimated the role of the d5 square. And I overestimated the fact that the open e-file would give us attacking chances. But in reality, our opponent very correctly played king f1, and it's actually very hard to get to this king. And we've given white a bunch of good squares for his pieces. So if our opponent had played bishop d5 check, black is only slightly better. Bishop d5 check, and if we play king h7, there's this very nasty move, bishop f7. Very similar to the Donner game, actually. Bishop f7. Whoa. And if we play rook e7, now h5 is super dangerous. And if we play rook takes f7, white wins the game because he drives our king out to g6 and basically doesn't deliver checkmate, but now we pay the price for not developing our bishop in time. It's a skewer against the queen. So crazily enough, h5 we would have to play g5 for this reason. We cannot take the bishop, and now white can play h6, driving the pawn down. Now you're like, but didn't you say this wasn't dangerous? Well, there's an extenuating factor here, which is the bishop on f7. Now it links up with the queen, and the queen infiltrates to g6 with all sorts of nasty consequences, as you can tell. So hopefully this makes sense. So instead of this, our opponent prematurely played the move g5. Or h5 rather. And now the difference is, what is the difference actually? Oh, the difference is, this is really cool. What is the difference between doing this and then having h5, g5 included? See, this is actually really advanced, and this would take me some time to figure out. The difference is that in this position, we can play rook f8. We can play rook f8. And we can meet bishop g6 check with king h6, and the king is actually perfectly safe on this square, amazingly. The difference is, if we go back to the other line and white starts with bishop d5 and we play king h8, first of all, king h8 actually isn't even a good move because of bishop f7. So king h7, bishop f7, rook f8. Here, instead of playing h5, white can play the bishop sacrifice, bishop takes g6. This is the difference. The king is driven out, a check is delivered, and this is really, really nasty. King h6, rook g5, threatening mate. The computer, of course, gives equality. This apparently ends in a draw with best play. You look at this line. This line is really sexy. If instead black plays king f7, queen h5 check, king g8, white to play and win in this position. It's a beautiful two-move sequence that's super instructive. White to play and win. So you might think it's f4. I bet you most of you are thinking f4 and rook g2, but it's not f4. Because f4 allows black to lift the rook up to f7 and protect the bishop. This is unclear. First of all, you need to start with what move? Now, knight d5 doesn't do anything. It doesn't actually threaten anything. You start with rook takes g7. Now you play this quiet pawn move, f4, and the rook somehow, which I should have captured with my bishop, now is the game-winning piece. And black is caught in a unstoppable attack. Bishop e6, rook g2 check, king f6. It's actually not that easy to deliver checkmate here. Here you have to find an only winning move, knight d5 check. What is the idea of this move? It's to recapture with the pawn, preventing the black king from escaping via e6. Pretty crazy stuff. And black cannot prevent the checkmate. Now, you can analyze this on your own. So all of this goes to show that even though white's quote-unquote attack was not dangerous to begin with, I gave white too much ammunition, and our opponent came very, very close to developing a serious attack. Now, again, we're much better. h6, bishop d4. The rest of the game, I think, was pretty straightforward. Most important thing here to realize is white has no threats, even though this may look very scary, because the g7 square is so safely protected. Queen g6, using the queen trade as a weapon. White probably should have taken on f6, but this is a losing endgame. White dropped back to h5. We eliminate this nasty little knight, and now f4 is just absolutely crushing. Now it's our turn to develop the attack. And then again, f3 was a nice move. And then I played rook e8, bringing our final piece into the attack, threatening queen e2 mate, and now just trying to remove the defender with bishop c6. Notice how all of our pieces are cooperating nicely, and he just doesn't have the ability to keep his defensive structure intact. Any questions? Any questions? Was d4 an option when he played e5? When he played e5, wait, the queen is hanging, so I'm not sure what you're asking. Yeah, I know this is a little bit too much detail, but there was a lot to talk about. Oh, instead of d5, if he had played d4, yeah, that's a reasonable move, but we can just play queen takes d4. And I assume you want to play rook takes f3. Now the winning move is queen d3 check, again using the pin. The computer gives this line, king g2, queen e2 check, king g3, and now a really sexy move that we'll end on. This is a really sexy move, and it's actually the only winning move. Crazy. This is what's called a collinear move. A collinear move. Yeah, this reminds me of this Nimzovich game. I think Nimzovich versus Kohn. Yeah, rook f4. Rook f4. Moving a piece along the same file, but not capturing the enemy piece. File or diagonal, of course. You can have a collinear move with a bishop. If you want an example of a collinear move with the bishop, I have just the example to end on. Actually, wait 1 second. Let me just find this game from Qatar Masters 2015. I just have to find it in Megabase. I don't know why I keep getting challenges from people. Yeah, Siva. There we go. Yeah, so this is a classic example of a collinear move that is missed by a pretty strong player. These types of moves are very easy to miss. Very easy to miss. And here is a good example from one of my games of a collinear bishop move. I don't know why does... And chess base can be so annoying sometimes. Just a moment, folks. Sorry. Yeah, let me just... Here we go. There we go. Problem is, every time you open a chess-based game, it basically resizes the board. So that's why every time I share a game, I have to resize the board on OBS. It's the actual reason. Okay, so in this position, I had the white pieces. This is round 1 of the Qatar Masters 2015. Here I played the move h6, and my opponent unsuspectingly drops the knight back to d7, basically trying to fight for the dark squares. Who can tell me what was missed? And I actually did not see this move right away. I just spotted it after a couple minutes of thinking. Yeah, this move, bishop g7. And black is busted because if he plays rook f3, he drops the bishop. He obviously can't trade on g7. I promote the pawn. He basically just has to give up the exchange. So that's what we'll end on. And let's do a 5-minute game before we call it a day, folks. Let's do a 5. Hopefully you enjoyed that game. That was a lot to talk about. Obviously, I know sometimes the analysis takes a while, but I really do want to get through all the lessons of the game. That's kind of okay, I don't know why everybody's challenging me right now. Let me do allow challenges nobody. Okay, there we go. All right, back to chess.com and a 5-minute game. We have a pretty high rating, so we obviously do need to do a little less talking. 2174, Albert Trucco. We're playing e4, of course. e6, and I've done a couple things against the French. I think the line that I've recommended most recently is the Steinitz gambit, knight f3, and bishop d3, basically the advanced French, but without the move c3. So yes, we are sacrificing the pawn on d4, and we are aiming for very quick development. And in this line, in this gambit, the justification consists in these two factors: our lead in development, combined with the influence exerted by this pawn on e5. This pawn on e5 is an incredibly important pawn. We cannot afford to lose it, so we need to start by overprotecting this pawn. If we're allowing black just to go knight g6 and capture the pawn, this gambit loses all of its meaning. Of course, black can trade the pawn with the move f6, which is a very typical move in the French. But f6, of course, comes with a very heavy price tag, and even when the pawn is traded, oftentimes we can maintain our control over the e5 square with our minor pieces and with moves like bishop f4. So anyways, here we should start with rook e1. And now we bring this knight out to the b3 square. This is also very typical: knight b to d2 and knight to b3, preparing at the right moment to recapture the pawn on d4. So in many cases, it's not really a gambit because we win the pawn back pretty quickly thereafter. Okay, so here again, very important, right? If we play knight takes d4, we drop the pawn on e5. We need to start by taking on g6. This is the main line, actually. I'm pretty impressed our opponent knows this is the most popular, one of the recommended setups for black. But I've always felt that white still has the easier game because ultimately, yeah, our opponent gets the bishop pair, our opponent gets the h-file, but, you know, there's two sides to every coin. And, you know, the other side of the coin is that black now doesn't have a great place to put the king. You know, the king can stay in the center, but then the rooks are not connected, and the center is not a permanently safe place to be, especially if black one day plans to play f6. Queen side is obviously very risky, and the king side is also not a good place to go because the h-file can then be repurposed. We can basically usurp that file from black in the long run. So we're going to start by playing c3, overprotecting this knight. Very standard move. We can also at some point play the move h3 so that we don't have to worry in the long run about the pressure exerted by black's rook. And the position now takes on kind of a slower character because the center remains closed. Nothing happens super fast here. So we have the time now to make a couple of nice little improving moves like h3. At the same time, of course, there's like very high tactical potential in this position because the moment something opens up, things can get very tactical here. But obviously, like, I think white is better because of our monster knight on d4. Now, what's the priority in this position? Well, we really do want to bring this bishop out at some point. But giving up the pawn on b2, although not the stupidest idea in the world, is just not necessary, especially because we have many ways that we can just, first of all, protect this pawn. One thing that I really like here is this move b4. Now, typically, it's not a recommended move in most French positions because black has a knight. And if black had a knight here, weakening the square on c4 might be a somewhat unwise idea positionally. But because black does not have the piece with which to exploit the c4 square, it's perfectly fine, actually very productive, to play the move b4 because on top of protecting this pawn, we're grabbing very important space and further discouraging black from castling to the queen side, which is now essentially going to be a war zone due to like a4 and b5. Okay, so first question to answer, is black actually threatening to take on e5? I know you're probably thinking no for sure, but the answer actually is yes. Like, black is threatening to take on e5 because there is no obvious discovery against the queen. We have two choices. We can either move the bishop again, or, for example, play pawn to f4, which is unnecessarily weakening and would like hem in our bishop. We can also play a very advanced move here, queen to d2. Now, question on your mind should be, how does this help in the event of queen takes e5? And hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate that. The idea here is not to win the game immediately. You should not be looking for an immediate refutation. The idea is by and large positional. Remember that the pawn in e5 can be sacrificed under the condition that you are able then with your pieces to control the square that the pawn formerly occupied. And as many of you are indicating, the idea is to play bishop f4, re-exerting our control over the e5 square, and in the near future, maybe even preparing a sack on e6. Black's center there is far from as stable as it looks. On top of that, we have a positional bonus, which is we can play bishop g5 and isolate black with this nightmare French bishop. So this is a classic idea, obviously building the battery and then trading the bishops. You're probably used to like this happening when your opponent fianchettos the bishop, but it's the same concept. And now, of course, a4 should be pretty much automatic, exploiting, again, this weakness on b5. Now we're going to open up the queen side and just barrel through. Like, this is, strategically speaking, almost losing for our opponent. It's like a classic case of good knight versus bad bishop, but actually exploiting these types of positions and, you know, turning them into a victory is not easy for anybody. They're not easy for me either, and they require a lot of patience. So let's start with rook a5, just making sure that this pawn does not result as a moving target. Now, we're likely going to try to play mostly on the queen side, but we also need to remember that, like, at some point we can send these pawns up the board, some point in the future. But we also need to keep in mind that c3 is a target for our opponent. Let's continue our queenside campaign, for starters. That was just a blunder, by the way. And our opponent instantly exploits it. I actually missed this fork. Now, blunder is like a pretty exaggerated term. The question is now, which pawn should we give up? And I think the answer should be pretty clear. Actually, we can actually give up both pawns with knight b3. Let's try knight b3, trying to get the knight around to c5. One good thing here is we're giving black a choice, which is going to cause our opponent to spend some time. Always give your opponent a choice when possible, because people don't like choices. We like choices a lot less than we think we do. Now the knight is hanging, so we need to get it around to c5. And the point of this whole procedure, it is not to play knight takes a6. You should pause the video here and make sure you understand why is knight takes a6 actually a really bad idea. It is counterproductive to all of our goals. In short, the reason is that the knight is like the strongest piece on the board, and giving it up for a single pawn is just not going to be a very good idea. So we're going to play very slowly, just trying to improve our position. And basically, we're making the claim that our opponent doesn't have any easy way to activate his pieces. That is not a correct claim because of a move that I just realized is much stronger than I thought. But in general, like, a better positional player would be able to utilize this concept. Yeah, rook to b8 here is super annoying because this pawn on b4 just isn't well defended. Yeah, rook to c4, I thought we might be able to play knight to d3 and replace the knight on c5 maybe with a rook at some point. Yeah, once again, I think this game started very well and then I made that blunder. Let's go king f2. But I think I'm going to win in the bullet phase of the game. Now we're going to play rook to a2 in order to allow for the king to move into the center. Otherwise, black would have had a check on c2. I'm going to try to win without flagging, but I have to say our opponent is playing incredibly well. Like, I'm legitimately kind of getting outplayed in this game. Well, not really outplayed. I think I was outplaying my opponent, but definitely not a convincing victory if I end up winning this game. So, not easy these days. Not easy at all. Not easy to win a game of chess. No matter who you are, let's try to get our knight around to d6. Of course, I'm playing worse because I'm talking a lot, but nevertheless, kudos to our opponent. King e3 maybe. Let's see, king e3. Let's get the... No, we got to defend the pawn, f4. Our opponent's going to go f6, I assume. Yeah, our opponent is playing super well. Knight to b7. Let's evacuate. Oh, I blundered d2. Shoot. Okay, our opponent had a forced win there. I still think I would win this game on time. Just like Our opponent's spending too long per move. He's spending too long per move. And the blunder's coming. Okay, yeah, there's the panic move. There's the panic move, unnecessary exchange sacrifice. And just pretty easy win here. Rook A1, Rook C1, push the pawn. Our opponent gives up another piece, and now everything falls. Boom. Use some pre-move magic. And we win. Yeah, sorry, that was sort of a cheat code at the end, but not something that I have to use proudly. Let's see. I'm curious, what is the accuracy? How badly did I play here? And was I exaggerating our opponents?
Good job breaking through in the endgame with some strong maneuvers.
All right, is that Rebecca? That's my coach, Deborah. Just kidding. 86.6 to 80. Okay, so not bad. Let's see where we went wrong. Yeah, good job to our opponent, actually. Two very good, very worthy opponents today to mark the return of the speedrun. So just a second here. Let's put up chess base. And so yeah, anyways, yeah, at higher levels, the Steinitz Gambit does not necessarily always work out super well. But it's like I've played it in classical against title players and done pretty well with it. You just have to know a lot of theory. Like if you want to play this line and you're over 2000, you do need to know some theory here. You can't just play it based on like general concepts. Okay, so knight c6, bishop d3. Of course, c3 is the main line. This is the advanced French traditional variation. C takes d4, short castles. And our opponent plays knight e7, which is one of the best moves for black. Yeah, rook e1, knight g6. This is all sort of standard stuff. By the way, Bortnik likes to play bishop f4 here. Bishop f4 is the more popular move, according to the engine, but it's actually not a good move if black knows how to respond. The reason this is not good is because here black has this very nasty move, f5. And, okay, basically you have to take en passant, otherwise this bishop is out of the game forever. And this position just isn't very good for black. There is a game here between two grandmasters from 2012. White tried the move knight h4. Knight h4, but black just responds with f5 again. And white is in huge trouble. Queen to h5 happened. And now black just defends with queen f6. And white is running out of gas. f4 was tried, bishop to d7. And black is much, much better. Like black castles queenside and white doesn't have enough for the pawn. So that's why I like to play rook e1 here. This is the computer move. Rook e1, bishop to d7, knight b to d2. So this is all very standard. Knight b3, queen c7. There are still games in the database here. Yeah, takes, knight takes d4. Takes, knight takes d4. All of this has been played. Naroditsky has 2 games in this position. I won both of them. I have a game against Andrew Tang and a game against Krikor from Title Tuesday. So this is... I practice what I preach. Yeah, knight takes d4 is the most popular move. Knight takes d4. And now, queen to b6 by our opponent was a weird move, and this is a novelty. None of my opponents actually took on d4. None of my opponents took on d4. One important thing to remember here is, what do we do if black plays f6? What do we do if black plays f6? Because if we play the move bishop f... Yeah, we can play bishop f4 here and defend the pawn. Black plays g5, and we drop the bishop back to g3. The important subtlety here is, what is our response to f5? Because if we allow black to push f4, this is really bad. But who can tell me what is our... What do we plan here? No, not f4. Not f4. Now, f4 doesn't really do much for our position. Black can just play like bishop e7 or something. You should be paying attention to the x-ray. Knight takes f5 is correct. Yeah, this is a standard idea. Knight takes f5, e takes f5, and e6. Now, you should be looking at this and saying, well, what if black plays f4 now? But with black's king this exposed, it's just checkmate. King takes d7, queen takes d5. The rest should be obvious. This is just completely crushing for white. The king is just not able to find any shelter. And the computer here gives this move c4, threatening checkmate in 1 on b5. And if a6, c5, the pawn is repurposed as an attacker in order to clear open the c file. And if black takes this pawn, you give 1 check, then you give another check, you win the queen. But this is just overwhelming force. You can analyze this on your own. For this reason, after bishop g3, black cannot play f5. Black has to move the queen away from c7. Queen b6, queen to d2. And what's interesting is that even here, if black plays queen d2, f5, now we can play, even in this position, knight takes f5 and e6 anyway. Even though the queen is not attacked, it's still a very powerful idea. And the reason it's so powerful is if black plays bishop takes e6, trick question, what is white's correct continuation here? I think in most of your cases it's a trick question because you'll have a very big temptation here, but it's not the correct move. It's not the correct move. You don't take the pawn. You don't play queen takes d5 because black simultaneously moves the king away and protects the bishop, and white is just lost, right? You have to remember that, like, the king is actually safe here, so this is wrong. And if you play rook takes e6 here, black blocks the check and connects the rooks and wins the game. So for this reason, you actually need to play rook takes e6 and just win the queen back with rook e1. Now, you might be asking, like, is this equal because black has 2 rooks for the queen? No, this is losing for black because essentially black's king and black's pawns are way too weak and present a very attackable target for white's queen. Here, for example, you can play bishop e5, just moving the bishop outside of the range of black's pawns, and then the queen will just help itself to all these weak pawns. Too many targets. Too many targets. Does that make sense? Anyways, so this is a little bit of an opening overview. Our opponent played queen b6, and after c3, we just have a solid advantage here. Bishop e7. We played h3. Let's see where I actually went wrong. I'm going to check this with the computer very quickly. Yeah, queen to d2. Actually, the computer does not like queen to d2 and claims that after queen e5, bishop f4, black plays queen h5. Of course, rook e5, queen h7, and somehow black is better in this position. Because if white doubles on the e-file, black is able to evacuate the king out of the center before we're able to sack on e6. So this is, in many ways, how could I have not seen this? Yeah, according to the computer, it was a better idea to start with a4 in this position rather than b4. Because, yeah, b4 is a pretty weakening move. And in the end, we ended up paying the price for the move b4. So by playing a4, you're basically threatening to chase the queen out of b6. And if black responds with a5, now we have this very, very nice square on b5 in the future. And we can just play the move b3 now. b3, then bishop e3, queen to d3, and we can just sort of slowly move our pawns on the queen side. So black did not take on e5. Black missed the chance to do that. After bishop g5, we're once again sort of overwhelmingly better. a4. And of course, my big mistake was to play rook e to a1. Yeah, this was the blunder. We should have played f4, protecting the pawn on e5. So that, okay, if black plays queen c7 in this position, yeah, we can play rook e3. And we have a very nice plan here of playing h4, swinging the rook to h3, and actually opening up the h-file. And black is completely devoid of counterplay, completely. So rook e1 was just an autopilot move for getting to assess the undefended pawns in the position. Queen c7 is just a straight-up fork, and now things get kind of dicey. And if black had played rook to b8, I think white is just worse here. Like, my position is sort of on the verge of collapse. It's like 0.6. Rook b8, rook b1, rook to c4. Actually, this... Now it's saying equal. Wow. Okay, so this actually wasn't that bad. Knight d3, rook b8, king f2. Black should have given a check here, but at this point we're basically in the time scramble phase. so I can't comment too much on the end of the game. Yeah, so it just shows you that unfortunately when you talk about positional play, right, one sloppy move can undo an effort that you exerted for the entire game, right? Like you blunder one little move and immediately you're like in panic mode. And that's why tactics are more important than positional chess, unfortunately, even at my level, especially in Blitz. But a pretty instructive game nevertheless. It goes to show just how terrible the French is. Yeah, exactly. All right, guys, this is where we'll end. Hopefully you enjoyed the unexpected speedrun. We got 2 games in, but both of them were very rich. So a lot to look at also on your own. And yeah, just a final PSA, look at your own games. Just analyze your own Blitz games if you want to improve. Don't just play 50 games and then pretend that, Blitz is not helpful. Like actually look at your games with an engine, identify your mistakes, understand why you made them, and try not to make them in the next game. And that's all it takes to improve. Thank you, folks. Glad you enjoyed it. I'm going to get going. I have the Chess Bra rating grind at 6, so I'm going to get some food and get some rest before we start. So I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye. Bye for now. Let's see who I can raid.